We're live.
Welcome back, people, to this week's episode of Sports and Banter, coming to you live on Remembrance Sunday. 100 years since the end of the First World War, and it's been particularly pleasing to see respects paid from grassroots level right up to the Premier League. I'm Ellis. I'm going to be hosting this week's Footy Ramble. Joining us this week, we have the infamous Osman brothers, Hakan and Hassan. How are you, boys?
Yeah, what you saying, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad.
All good, Ellis.
Good.
All good.
Good. And even though the transfer market is closed, we've managed to bring in a new recruit, making his Sports and Banter debut. Marlon, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Not too bad, boys. Not too bad. Just looking forward to seeing what you boys get up to on air.
Good. We will be putting you through your paces a little bit later, but that's more to come. In this week's show, we're going to kick it off with Hassan bringing us the usual format of going through the weekend's Premier League results. We're going to cover the Manchester derby. Then we're going to be asking our new signing, Marlon, on this, been a Liverpool fan, his thoughts on the season, what his expectations are. We're going to cover what has been a forgettable weekend for refereeing and officials. We're going to ask your thoughts on the so-called Wayne Rooney friendly. Is it a farce? Is it justified? That will come up later. We're also going to be asking the Spurs boys their impressions of the images and videos that have been leaked by their long overdue stadium. And then finally, the main topic of the week is going to be the Sports and Banter All Time Premier League 11. So, Hass, do you want to kick us off with the results?
Yeah. Need to get a little jingle made up here, you know. Right, EPL results starting from yesterday's. Cardiff City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Huddersfield 1, West Ham United 1. Leicester 0, Burnley 0. Newcastle United 2 against Bournemouth 1. Southampton 1, Watford 1. Palace 0, Spurs 1. Then today we've got Liverpool 2, Fulham 0. Chelsea 0, Everton 0. Arsenal scraping a draw against Wolverhampton 1-1. And Man City 3 and Manchester United 1. So, yeah, we'll just royal off the top 6 of the table at the moment as it stands. Man City 32 points in first. Liverpool second on 30 points. Chelsea third on 28 points. Spurs fourth on 27 points. And Arsenal fifth on the 26 points. And Bournemouth sixth on 20 points.
Thanks, mate. Bournemouth, who would have thought they'd have been up there come this stage of the season? I think they're, are they close to establishing themselves as overachievers, or do you think they're soon going to be established themselves as a Premier League regular, or will they fall by the wayside when the business end of the season kicks in and injuries come in and stuff like that? Who knows? But it's certainly been a surprise in the pack, so to speak. And I think Eddie Howe's only enhancing his reputation further. I mean, he's already been talked about as a possible Manchester United replacement for Mourinho, should that change. So watch that space.
Sorry, just cut you up there, mate. I think you got that wrong. Arsenal ain't got 26 points, mate. They've got 24. But yeah, just carry on to this.
Oh, I'll take the extra 2, mate. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, you got 24, not 26. You're 3 points behind the next available place.
Okay. Thanks,
I'm just trying to give him a couple of points.
So, kick it off with the Manchester derby. What did you boys watch it?
I didn't watch a lot of it, to be honest. I didn't watch a lot of football today at all, actually. But a 3-1 result away, personally, kind of expect it, really. Man City at home, quite a powerful force going forward. But yeah, I can't comment too much on it because I've been trying to get them. I've been out all day and then went to my mum's for dinner and I literally got home, was trying to catch up as much as I could when I got home. But yeah, didn't kind of expect that result.
Yeah. Hack, Miles, did you watch it?
Well, no, I didn't watch it, but if I'm honest with you, I actually thought Manchester United were going to win today for some strange reason. They just seemed to have hit a little bit of form and I thought maybe a sneaky Man United win or a draw. So, yeah, I didn't think it'd be that emphatic, the end score line, to be fair.
It would have been very Mourinho-like to have gone against the grain and got a result today. But
exactly, that's what. But obviously, not this time.
Yeah, I watched it and I thought first things that stood out to me is when the teams came out. I mean, comparing the two teams and anyone but De Gea, would they get in the Man City team? Was the thing for me that stood out from the start. And then obviously, as much as I think he's grossly overrated, obviously Pogba wasn't in the side. And then no Lukaku either. I think it's not even worth a mention. But, you know, I could see that Mourinho pretty much set up to try and sort of frustrate them and try and kill the game, which he does. And it didn't seem to go that way. I thought, as much as the scoreline, you know, said it was quite a close game at times. City went up within minutes of the game and then kind of got knocking on the door for quite a while. Got the second, and then they brought Lukaku on, and within minutes of him coming on, Edison gave away a stupid penalty, bringing him down, and got themselves back in the game, and then City just stepped it up again. I mean, they just looked too comfortable at times. I mean, United didn't cause them a great deal of problems, and it just looks like I can't see anyone stopping City.
No, I think you're right there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I have to say that.
I mean, it's like year upon year now, I think, like, if anyone's going to do the unbeaten again, like, I keep thinking, like, is this going to be a year when someone does it again? Is this going to be a year? Because they just steamroll people. Like, you know, you think you've got them on the ropes, and then they'll just make a change and bring... I mean, they brought Sane on for Mahrez. Like, how many, you know... None of us have got that sort of strength in there.
No,
you know, and it just seems like they've got gears for fun, and you know, and they're only going to get better, I think, as well.
Do you know what? I didn't watch the match live. I watched highlights when I got home tonight, and it did look like a performance, to be fair. But that's typical of Man City, and I believe that's also, especially if you're looking at stats and so on, possession, and that's typical of Manchester United under Mourinho. Like we discussed the other week with Manchester United, they was never going to go to City and boss possession. But yeah, the result, obviously City deserved the result, and alternatively, I think Man United, as you said, Ellis, when you look at the two teams, Man United just can't compete with City, and I don't think a lot of people know. Simple as that.
Like, funny you should say that, Hack. Like, I was having a chat with one of my mates whilst the game was on, and I literally, I was like thinking through the league. Like, you actually think through the league about the players that the rest of the players that the teams have got. How many of them would actually get into that City 11? And I can only really think of sort of 3 or 4. Like, Hazard would probably get in the City team. Van Dijk at centre half. De Gea in goal. And then, like, I was really struggled to think of a fourth. My mate said Robertson, which probably is right. Like, in current form, you probably take Robertson at left back over Mendy. But apart from that, like, how many other players in the league would necessarily get in that City team?
Yeah,
Harry Kane?
No, not over Aguero. No way.
To me, mate, he's been the best fucking.
Get off, Harry. Get off that. We're only minutes in. Get off that.
I have to say, I'll choose Aguero over Harry Kane any day. Any day.
Yeah. I will say this, being a Spurs fan, speaking quickly about Aguero and Harry Kane, right? As a Spurs fans, we would all say Harry Kane, yeah, because he stats us a lot basically. But if Harry Kane was at Man City, do you not think Harry Kane would be sitting on the bench?
I think Aguero's better.
Yeah, but do you not think that if Aguero was there with Harry Kane, for example, do you think Pep Guardiola, being the manager he is, knowing the player he's got with Harry Kane, they would be playing together?
Well, I think...
And you cannot say that he wouldn't do that. I mean, come on, any team in the world, what a strike force you would have.
Yeah, I think...
You would fit Harry Kane in your team, so he would get in that team.
I don't know. I always think as a manager, you should always pick the players for the system and not the system for the players. So if you're playing with just one as your focal point, you're going to pick Aguero over Kane every time.
Yeah, I think so, because I think it's just a little bit slicker than Harry Kane. Don't get me wrong, goal scoring wise, it's all pretty similar. Maybe Harry Kane's just maybe in front. But in terms of play in and around the box, 1-2 touch, and everything else, I think Aguero's just that little bit more classier of an operator than Kane. That's my opinion.
I think Aguero's also got that little bit of nastiness in him as well, where I don't think Kane has. So, but look, we'll come on to the strikers later, guys, and I'm sure he's going to be in your list of strikers that should be considered for the Sports and Banter All-Time 11, along with Sergei Rebrov, but we'll come on to that later. So, your first show, Marlon?
Yeah, first time with you boys.
Been a Liverpool fan, obviously. I'm sure these boys have got some questions for you coming up. What's your thoughts on Liverpool this season?
I mean, if I'm honest with you, can't complain. Can't complain. We haven't been beaten in the league. The Champions League, okay, we had a bit of a bad result the other day, but when do Liverpool ever do anything easy? We don't. So I kind of expect that kind of thing to happen. But generally in the league, can't complain. All right, we're not playing the fluid attacking football that we were playing before, but we're getting results. And to be honest with you, that's all that matters as far as I'm concerned. So as a Liverpool fan, I'm happy, but also a little bit gutted that we're sort of doing bits in the league, but Man City are just, making it look a little bit easier than us. So, but other than that, I'm pretty happy as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, I think you've pretty much summed it up there. New signings and stuff like that, which ones have impressed you? I mean, he's obviously, it's well reported that Klopp's had 400 million at his disposal now during his time there. Which ones have impressed you the most coming in this season?
I have to say it's probably the cheapest one, and that was Shaqiri. I think out of all the signings so far, he's the one that's settled the quickest and is making the biggest impact. I mean, Naby Keita, obviously, he's come along with a big reputation, but he started well, like maybe first 2 games, had a few little niggly injuries, and to be fair, I think he'll come good. And like I said at the beginning, not like I said, but like Klopp said, I think Fabinho, he's going to need time, but you can see that he's a good player. But like I said, I just don't think he's up to the pace of the Premiership just yet. But I think he'll come good. But I have to say, out of all the signings this season, I'd have to say definitely Shaqiri, and I think he deserves to start more, if I'm honest.
I mean, especially in today's market when like stupid prices are getting paid for average players. What was it, 12, 13 mil you paid for him?
Yeah, 12, I think it was 13 mil max. So
absolute bargain.
Absolute bargain. You've got a proven Premiership player.
He's quite young as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I think 26, 27. Yeah. So for me, I think, like I said, out of all of them, he's been the steal. And like I said, I expect, to be honest with you, more to come from him. And I think if anybody's going to push the Firmino, Salah, Mane combination, I think it'll definitely be him, because I think he's going to have a lot to say about that. Because so far, he's been, like I say, one of our better players. And actually, in our midfield, I'd say one of our better players has been Ronaldo this season as well. He's come along quite a lot. So, but yeah, other than that, sorry,
defending part of his game.
Do you know what? To be honest with you, Hakan, he's had to get back, because I've obviously, I don't want to sound bad in that, boys, but Liverpool have been on the box quite a lot this this season, and I've watched a few games, and to be honest with you, when he has played, he has to track back. If you don't track back for Jurgen Klopp, he'll take you off, and he has taken Shaqiri off for not tracking back. I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game when he started, and I think Jurgen Klopp barely ever makes substitutions, but he had Shaqiri off at half time, and I think a lot of it was to do with the fact that he just wasn't giving him what he wanted. So yeah, tracking back wise, he's definitely improving on it.
I'll be honest with you, I was a bit gutted when you not got him, because I thought he was a good buy for the right price. And I'd like Spurs to try and go in for him, but like usual, we don't do shit like that.
Wouldn't it? £30 million, little snippet budget signing for decent money, and try and sell him on for £30 million in a couple of years.
Yeah, it'd be Daniel Levy, wouldn't it?
For being honest about it, yeah.
But but to be fair, obviously, sort of going back to Liverpool, I'm happy. Like I said, okay, we've we've sacrificed this whole free-flowing football, but we're getting results. And like I said, if someone would have said we'd play 12 games and still be unbeaten, to me at the beginning of the season, I might have said, "No, I doubt it very much." But that's what it is, and I can't complain. To be fair, can't complain.
Yeah. No, to be fair to you, mate. To be fair to Liverpool this year, they've started well. They've been playing well, and then all of a sudden you've hit this blip where you're not playing well, but you're getting the results. And to be fair, that's what you need to do. You need to be playing results. You need to be playing crap, getting results. And if you can do that, then obviously you'll regain that form back again. And, look, I think Man City are favourites. Let's be honest about it. But I think, if Liverpool can get their form back, they'll definitely push them.
Yeah,
I
think we could push them. I don't know how far we could push them, but I definitely think we'll push them. And like I say, if any team can beat City, we can definitely do it.
Proved it last year.
Yeah, proved it on a few occasions last season. So.
Yeah, well, it's like, look at Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea haven't lost yet, but Chelsea drew today against Everton at home. They drop points. I think, 2 points between you two?
I think it's 2 points.
It's 2 points between you guys. Have you played them at all yet this year?
Who's that, Chelsea?
No, Man City.
Yeah, we drew.
You drew.
Yeah, we drew.
So you got to draw. You can see what happens. But yeah,
to be fair, we just got to have some of the other top 5-6 clubs do something against them. That's what we need as well.
Yeah. They're struggling though by the looks of it. Look at Man City, Man United, Spurs. We lost 1-0 to Man United. Man United lost 3-1. Liverpool, Arsenal lost, didn't they? 2-0. Ellis.
Tore us apart,
yeah.
Mate.
So they're doing pretty well. Yeah,
that's showings of a Premier League winning team when they're beating and defeating their arch rivals as such in the top 6 to win the Premier League, home and away.
Yeah, but not being disrespectful or rude to any team here. But if you look at Liverpool last season, Liverpool had a good season last season. But I think Liverpool, if you'd have made a little group out of the top 6 about playing home and away games, Liverpool topped that group. Liverpool beat, I think, most teams at least once. Every team at least once. They had the better record out of the top 6 playing the top 6, if that made sense. But they struggled against the weaker teams. Obviously, Man City don't seem to be having that problem. But look, it's still a long way to go. There's still a long way to go. So anything can happen still. But as it stands, Liverpool, for me, are going to push them. But Man City, too strong.
No, definitely. So we obviously touched upon the front three and the emergence of Shaqiri. What does this mean for Sturridge, in your opinion, Marlon?
If I'm honest with you, mate, he'll probably be moved on at the end of the season. I think, don't get me wrong, he started the season, he came back strong, but I just think, like I say, like you were talking about earlier, he just doesn't fit our system. We've got a system that we play, and unfortunately for Sturridge, I don't know whether his body can do it, or it might not even be his body. Maybe that's just not his style of play, and unfortunately, he's not a Fabinho. So I think he'll always struggle to nail down a place. So I think he'll be moved on at the end of the season. Be sad to see him go, because on his day, I personally think he's probably the best English striker in the Prem. That's my personal opinion on his day. But
careful! Don't upset the boys too early, Marlon.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion. But I do think he'll get moved on at the end of the season. To be fair,
well, as we're asking Liverpool fan questions, you brought Nugget in just right at the perfect time, Marlon. So I've got a question for you, and the question is, how long was Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool for?
I think it might have been 2.5 seasons.
Right, okay. And how long has Jurgen Klopp been at Liverpool for?
Jurgen Klopp is, I think, on his third
season.
Yeah.
Right. Now, before I ask this question to you, let's get one thing straight. I think Jurgen Klopp's a quality manager. I think he has made a very good team at Liverpool. Very, very good team. which can go to any stadium and win, home or away in Europe.
Yeah.
But the question is to you is, if Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool do not win anything this year, has he been more of a success than Brendan Rodgers? Considering depending on the league, and don't win anything, Brendan Rodgers got you the closest to winning the Premier League you mostly have since the Premier League era.
Good question. I think, to be honest with you, like I said, I think that
just remember this as well.
He'll. I think obviously he's spent a lot more money than Brendan Rodgers spent, but you got to think, for the last, I don't know, few seasons, Liverpool have been basically in the wilderness, and everybody will tell you that. And at the end of the day, Jurgen Klopp has spent money, but I think we needed that kind of money to get us to even be a little bit competitive. But then obviously you need the money to be competitive, and then also to add to the competitiveness. And I genuinely think that if we don't win nothing this season, it will be a disappointment, but I don't think you could be sitting here calling for the manager's head, because, to be honest with you, we're showing signs of progress since he's been there. He's had a cup final every season. Granted, he hasn't won any of them, but we've had a Champions League final, we've had a Europa League final, we've had a League Cup final. We haven't won them, but it just goes to show that with a little bit of time, I think that we could win them. So for me, I'm being realistic. He's spent a lot of money, but then, okay, if he doesn't win anything this season, you sack Jurgen Klopp. Where are you going to find a better manager? You're probably not. So for me, I think I'm happy to just give him a little bit more time. He's turning us competitive. We're starting to attract players that we've probably never, ever, ever, ever would have attracted a few seasons ago. Even with Brendan Rodgers, to be fair, he wouldn't have been able to attract the calibre of players that we're attracting now. So for me, I think it's a bit of a progress. I know everyone wants to talk about the money, but at the same time, you have to spend money in the Premier League to be competitive. If you don't spend X and Y, Z money, you'll never be able to keep up with Chelsea. You'll never be able to keep up with Man City. And probably, to be honest with you, you'd never be able to keep up with Manchester United, even though they're not having a good time at the moment. But all the big clubs spend money, bar Tottenham, who haven't spent money, and obviously they're competitive. But like I said, if they did spend money, who knows where they'd go. So for me, no, I don't think, if we don't win anything this season, as long as, I don't know, if we can become runners up, we've definitely got to be in the Champions League, and I think we've definitely got to have a decent run in FA Cup or Champions League. But for me, I wouldn't be calling for his head or anything if we don't win this season.
It's really funny you say that, actually, because I was talking previously on a previous show. I was saying that personally, I think Spurs are punching above their weight for the money we spend. I think we're punching above our weight. But like you said, I think you need to spend money. I do think Klopp spent money in the right areas. Virgil van Dijk, I think, is a brilliant signing. Was one of your brilliant signings, and everyone was having a little dig about the £75 million price tag, this, that, the other. But I think that's £35 million well worth spent, because I think since bringing him in, I know you've obviously got Alexander Trent, who's come through the ranks. You've got is it Gomez?
Yeah, Joe Gomez.
Joe Gomez, yeah. You brought him in as well, and I think he's helped progress him on. I see what you're saying, mate. I do see what you're saying. I do agree with what you're saying. It's good that you get into the finals. The only thing that, may put a question mark over Liverpool, not over Liverpool, over Jurgen Klopp, is he does get to a lot of cup finals, but his cup final win ratio isn't the best, if I'm right in saying, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. He's lost a good few cup finals.
But if you keep learning, then, you're going to get there eventually, mate.
Exactly. You're eventually going to win one of these cup finals. And like I say, I think as he's a manager that's shown, if you give him time and patience, I think he'll come good. And I do genuinely believe that he will he'll do something for Liverpool. I don't know what he'll definitely win something. Whether it's the league or the Champions League again, we'll definitely win something. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think that you are in that same space as us at the moment. I think you're a better side than us, possibly, because you got to spend the money and everything else. So possibly got a better squad than us, But I think it's a bit like Jurgen Klopp, Mauricio Pochettino. They now need to win something in order to sort of like cement a little bit of a. To turn around and say, look, they've been a successful at that club.
It's almost, not to be funny. I mean, to the fans, it's not a big problem. It's just to justify to everybody else's fans in the press. Because it's not to us as a Spurs fan. Not to be funny, you wouldn't dream of slagging him off, and you wouldn't dream of him being. You wouldn't call for his head, even if he didn't win the league this season, because you know what he has done for you and where he's taken you. Whereas, not to be funny, it's other fans. It's the press that really sort of sit there, and other people that speculate about the money that your manager spends, or the money that your club spends. Whereas actually, yourself, if you really support your football team, and if your manager is doing stuff and you can see progress, then you don't worry about all that stuff. So
definitely. So whilst we touch on that, I'll open it up to the three of you. Who's under more pressure to win something this year? Is it Jurgen Klopp or is it Mauricio Pochettino?
Klopp.
Pat, do you want to go first?
I would say Klopp, and we pretty much answered it previously by saying Klopp because he spent a lot more money. Yeah, Liverpool's expectations as a club are a lot more. As you could say, if Brendan Rodgers don't win nothing this year, it would be a major. In my eyes, for Liverpool, not as a Liverpool fan, obviously, but in my eyes, if Liverpool do not win anything this year, whether it's a cup, FA Cup, or whatever, then it's been a massive failure because they spent all this money, and yet Manchester United have still won more than Man City. Spent that money, won more than Chelsea, etc., etc. Where Tottenham, we're the major underdogs in the fact that really and truly we shouldn't be up there with the amount of money we spent compared to other teams, and whether Pochettino wins anything this year or don't, the expectations, I believe, from Spurs fans is not as high as Liverpool. So I think the pressure's more on Liverpool.
Well, all right then. As a Liverpool fan, I'd say maybe it's 50-50, but I would say the pressure's on for you guys to win a trophy because realistically, how do you make that?
Pressure. There is pressure.
How do you make that step up if you don't win a trophy, then you don't always you're putting more pressure on yourself, or the club, the team putting more pressure on themselves because everybody thinks that if Tottenham win something, that will be that next step up for them. Because obviously, like I said, a lot of semi-finals and so on. It's almost like it's that elephant in the room. Like it's the whole Tottenham definitely need to win something because otherwise, without sounding horrible, but you see it in the paper, you see fans talk about it saying, "Oh look, they've bottled it again." And I think whereas for us, I think
right.
Whereas for us, I just think, you know what? At the end of the day, there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure playing for Liverpool. Full stop. It's a big, massive club, so there's a lot of pressure anyway. But I do feel like there's more pressure because you are punching above your weight. But if you want to be classed as, one of the boys drinking at the table, I feel like Spurs do need to win a cup. But so do we. So it's 50-50.
Haas,
but
what's your take on it?
That pressure's been with us for the past 5 years, mate.
Yeah, see, I see where Akan's coming from, but kind of like quickly, we went back from, I think Marlon was talking about it, me and Marlon talked about it previously, about how, the media and other fans put that pressure on our teams. Do you see what I mean? And we kind of like had that little bit go there, actually, where Hakan's gone, well, I think Liverpool should be looking to win something this year, and it would be unsuccessful for them to not to win it. And it's kind of like Marlon flipped it, etc., etc. Look, I personally think that both teams need to be trying to win something sooner rather than later. Yeah. If I do honestly think that if Spurs don't win nothing, this year, I don't think it's we will use the excuse of we never spent no money. Yeah, that's the excuse that we would use. Yeah, all right. The truth of it is, we should be winning something, whether it's the Carabao Cup, whether it's the FA Cup, whether it's the Champions League, whether there's a chance we're going to drop out of it. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, Europa League. Do you understand what I mean? We should be looking to win something this year, and I do believe that's what we are looking to do. Are we good enough to win something this year? Time will tell. I don't know. I think we've fallen short over recent years, and we've not invested any money. And same with Liverpool, really. You know, if Liverpool don't win nothing this year, I don't think it's the be all and end all for them. You know what I mean? I think if in a few years' time, if Liverpool continue to spend at the rate that they're spending, which is what they've got to do, but they don't win nothing, then I think questions could be asked from Jurgen Klopp on that sense. I think the only saving grace from Mauricio Pochettino is that he doesn't have that kind of money to spend at the moment. So I think it's a bit of a saving grace for him. So it takes a little bit of pressure off him from the club's point of view, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And obviously Daniel Levy's point of view, because he's very much, well, you didn't give me the fucking money to spend, now you expect me to win something. So you know, I think this year, I think they both need to win something. If neither of them win it, I don't think it's no big issue.
Okay,
it's a bigger issue to other team supporters.
No, definitely. My take on it is, I think they've almost got the same amount of pressure on them, but for different reasons. With regards to Liverpool, I think people, you know, it's hard not to look at the amount of investment that they've had and the amount of spent. Yeah, I agree with everything Marlon said in terms of the improvements, and you know, the squad have shown under Klopp, and they have made themselves a lot harder to beat. And you know, at the end of the day, they got to the Champions League final last year. But I do think, you know, the Klopp's record isn't the best. Well, it's not great in finals, if we're being honest, and he needs to almost get that off his shoulders. He brings something home for us in terms of investment, and especially with the potential in the team as well. I think you know, they are capable of certainly winning something, and you know. But then on the Spurs side of things, I think the pressure is almost external. The fact that the cost of going to this stadium and stuff like that, there is going to be a certain element of pressure, that the constraints it's going to bring, and that they have to do, you know, they have to win something in order to try and justify the move. And you know, the financial reward is that comes with silverware. You know, it has gone up loads since 2008, and you know, hopefully Pochettino could bring something home to help the club out that way, because the way things are going, there are going to be constraints that I think you're going to have to go through, and I think it's some prize money is going to help those constraints along the way, even if it is a case of you win something and that guarantees some, you know, transfer investment or something like that. So I do think there's equal pressure, but I think the pressures are very different to the clubs. So, last question on Liverpool, Marlon.
Yep.
If you can pick one trophy to win this year, would it be your 6th Champions League, or would it be your first Premier League win? What would you go for?
Oh, mate, I'll be honest with you. For me, I mean, luckily, I've witnessed Liverpool winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
So for me, it definitely have to be winning a Premiership. That would, for me, that would be, I don't know, that would be probably the most exciting thing. Yeah, that would be the best thing ever, I think, if Liverpool were to win the league. So I'd definitely pick the league.
I can understand that. I think that would pretty much make Klopp immortal in Liverpool as well. Like, he'd be up there with the Shankleys and stuff like that as
Most
well.
Definitely.
Talk about with the fans. So, moving on. This week for refereeing and officials has seen some horrendous decisions that have been made. I mean, we had the example of the well-publicised Sterling penalty in the week where he kicked the floor. And to be fair to Sterling, he does get a lot of bad press. And a lot of, I think 90% of it is unjustified at times. But the fact that he didn't appeal for the penalty, and he was almost as surprised as anyone when the ref actually gave a penalty. And then you've got the Southampton goal, or the no goal that was not given yesterday. You've had, the Spurs Wolves the other week. There were some dubious decisions in that. The officials missed the Lacazette handball last week against Crystal Palace. What's your stance on this, guys? Obviously, I'm sure we've all seen the Charlie Austin interview on Match of the Day and on social media this morning. And I think he's got a valid point, to be fair. Like, if they're playing at the highest level of, in world football, that they say the Premier League is the best league in the world. Why is it that these substandard refereeing decisions are getting made week in, week out? I think it could be quite entertaining for Haas. You can kick this one off. What do you think on it?
What do I think on it? And I'll be honest with you, we had all this VAR palaver last year in the Carabao Cup and in the World Cup and that. And I'll be honest with you, I know it does strike out the little issues and the little problems that you have, and was it offside or was it a goal or was it not a goal? Blah blah this, blah blah that. But mate, I think the best thing that's ever happened to football was introducing goal line technology. Apart from that, I do not think we should be replacing it. I do not think we should be changing it. I don't think VAR's good for football. It will line out the little mistakes, but that's what football's about. It's about human error. It's about making mistakes. And if we don't have them mistakes, what are we going to talk about? We wouldn't get the Austin rant. I liked Austin's rant the other day. It's interesting. It's controversial. I get where he's come from. And he's 100% correct. But I don't believe VAR's a good thing to go ahead with, and I think VAR needs to stay away from the game. I think it will just slow the game down. I mean, look at last year in the Carabao Cup. People scoring goals, running off, celebrating. Next thing you know, they've pointed to the screen. Next thing you know, players have stood there, the fans have stood there in anticipation, wanting to know what's happened. By the time it comes through and says, it's a goal, the whole momentum of that celebration is kind of like gone. So it's like, a little high five, right, let's go again. And that's not what football's about for me. Football's not about that, Like, you've got to think about the past, the present, the mistakes that occur. Yeah, I mean, look, there's been times when we've been given penalties. Spurs have been given penalties, and they're not penalties. Do you know what I mean? Yeah? But we'll take them. But there's been times when we've scored goals and we've had penalties against us that weren't penalties. And, I believe it flows in roundabouts. I believe we'll get our fair share at some point or another. And I don't want to see... I want to see football stay the same. And see these rants and raves and these mistakes. That's all part and parcel of the game for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that's what makes football the beautiful game, the human error. And, like I say, sometimes those mistakes go against you and you're fuming. And then there's other times when, you get the rub of the green and you're thinking, I'll take that penalty all day long. But don't get me wrong, some of the officiating is... I don't think the quality of the refereeing in the Premiership is probably nowhere near as good as it was a few years back when you had certain referees and so on and so on. But some of the mistakes that are being made are a little bit, I would say, are schoolboy. Like, I ain't being funny. There was a mistake against, I think who did we play when, was it Arsenal?
Your goal that got disallowed. Like,
yeah,
definitely.
That was pretty much a bit of a schoolboy error and stuff like that. But at the same time, the game ended a draw. I was happy with that, and I should imagine Arsenal fans were happy with that. No. So therefore, it was one of those things that you just sort of have a little chat about in your head. It was a goal, but you just think, oh well, it was one of them things, and you just move on. And that's how I think it is. And I think there's a lot of pressure on referees just because of the pressure that surrounds football, the money and everything else that's involved. It's really, really, really high stakes, and let's not make no bones. The game of football has got so much quicker. So to make those decisions in split seconds, you're not always going to get them right. So I personally just think leave football as it is. Goal line technology, that's the best one that they've got, and for me, it's just human error.
No, definitely. I think as well, like, I think you touched on it there, like the talk of, the need for additional refereeing and stuff is brought in because I think a lot of the time people talk about, it's cost this manager his job, isn't cost this manager, this team's gone down because of it. People don't forget that that team's also played 37 other games that season, and the chances are, if you go down, it's not because of a refereeing decision, but I think it's kind of a bit of a get-out clause, and, you know, with regards to managers losing their job over saying, "Oh, that's cost me a job" and stuff like that.
It can also save jobs, though, can't it?
Yeah, completely. But I think we've also got to be careful that we don't turn football into a robotic. Like, where are we going to draw the line? Are we going to bring in VAR, and then, you know, 3 years down the line, we're going to be using drone referees from 30,000 feet that can see the whole game, and we take away the use of a referee altogether? I mean, the things that I always question with regards to refereeing, especially in the European games, is what does that guy behind the line do? That's the thing that I really would think needs to be addressed. Like, because I've never actually seen them make a decision that's influenced the game. And if there's anything that needs to be addressed, I think it's them. I can understand that especially if there is not necessarily a VAR, but especially in terms of the penalty and stuff like that, then the referee should have somebody in the studio that they can talk to, like, you know, and it has to be done within 5-10 seconds or something, you know, and I don't think that would be too much of an impact. But, you know, in terms of, I think it went a little bit overboard in the World Cup, the way, like, and I think it's gone out the window a little bit. You know, in the World Cup, they were giving away penalties left, right and centre for this marking and using their arms and stuff like that. You know, either they set a precedent then and that's how it carries on, but it seems that's all fallen by the wayside again. And I think if they were going to go down that route, they would be giving penalty three or four a game, because you only have to watch Match of the Day and you see it, you know, happen 3 or 4 times in every game. So,
well, going back to Raheem Sterling's penalty the other day, which weren't a penalty, cleared on penalty. I don't think he even looked for the penalty. I think he just
he didn't.
Stubbed his toe and they give it to him. But you see them people that stand. But wait, you see them people that stand there behind the line, behind the goalkeeper. That's for goal line technology, isn't it? That's so they want us to find 2 referees to do goal line technology.
But I think as well, like, sorry, Hack, to cut you off, mate, but I think you know, it would have been nice if, like, Sterling had done something very similar to what Robbie Fowler did when he got given a penalty against Arsenal years and years ago. I don't know if you guys remember it, where he actually went up and told the referee that it wasn't a penalty, and, you know, he shakes his finger. And also as well, like, would it have been a huge issue if, you know, City had, whoever took the penalty, had deliberately booted it over the bar or done something like a back pass? They were 4-0 up at the time. And I think, you know, for the morality in football or something like that, it wouldn't necessarily been a bad thing, but who knows? But, Hack, do you want anything to add on this topic before we move on?
Yeah, my quick opinion on it. I think VAR is a load of crap. I think it obviously didn't perform last year in the Carling Cup, and I honestly think that it didn't perform. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was mistakes, but considering it's first time around by FIFA, I didn't think it performed that bad in the World Cup. Not that I would know. But besides the point, I think the way to resolve this is keep VAR out. Goal line technology is good. Human mistakes is good. I honestly do feel the 2 guys behind the goals should be given whistles and should be given authority for themselves to award penalties when the referees can't see it. If that was the case, it will put them more under pressure and more focus onto what's actually happening in the box, and giving the ref in the middle of the pitch a helping hand. If that was the case, I think that would be a good way moving forward, and you would also still have that edge of controversy.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I would rather have them behind the line giving the decisions or speaking to the referee about them decisions than going to look at a TV screen. But we've got to remember, they cannot give a free kick. They cannot give a penalty because if they give a penalty, then who's actually, you need one chief on that pitch, and it has to be the referee.
Yeah, but you should have it as the case of where them 2 people behind the goal are able to give
the referee advice
as well. You look at it as in American sports, and I know we don't want to go down that road of American sports, but a certain American sports that have like 2, 3, 4 refs or whatever in basketball and so on. One referee cannot see what 22 people are doing on a pitch. It's as simple as that.
No, but that's why he's got his assistants to help him out.
Yeah, but if they've got the authority to make that call themselves, it's a case of it goes into debate. If the person behind the box, behind the behind the goal sits there and goes, "That's a penalty," and the referee goes, "I'm not too sure about that," it gives a debate. Where, for example, the referee, if something happens in the box and the geezer behind behind the goal pulls it up, the full responsibility is on him. The referee will call it on that geezer's behalf when he thinks it's not a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, I think, like, like we get linos that award penalties, they'll put their flag up, referee will come over, turn around and say, well, what's the problem? And go, oh, he's tripped him up, rather than the referee will listen to what he said, okay, fine, and then blow the whistle and give the pen. Yeah, I think that, but I don't think that they should have whistles where they can blow whistles and turn around and say that's a penalty. I think the referee's got to be in charge of that situation, and they have to call the referee over and say, this is what I've seen, I feel it's a penalty, the decision lies with you, but this is what I'm telling you. And then the referee then makes a decision on what he thinks. Do you see what I mean? And how it goes. But yeah, like, I just don't want VAR in the game. I just don't want it stopping every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there, to be honest. So, moving on. It's come out quite well publicised this week of this so-called Rooney friendly. Is it justified? Is it a farce? Is it a bit of a PR stunt the way we're going? Like possibly screening games in America and stuff like that? Are we trying to get them to buy into the English game a bit more? What do you guys think? Hack or Marl, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll go first. I personally don't really see anything wrong with it. I mean, okay, if players that are playing really well and obviously they don't get called up and Rooney does, then yeah, okay, there might be a problem. But to be honest with you, I think he deserves a bit of a send-off. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a friendly. It's really pretty much whatever way you look at it, it's going to be an exhibition match anyway, and I don't see why you can't give him a game and just to say, you know what, thank you very much. This guy's played probably well over 100 games for England, so I think out of a little bit of respect, yeah, he has gone to America, and to be honest with you, like we all know, money does talk, and if they are trying to do a little bit of PR in America, then I mean, that's up to them, really. I mean, like I say, to me, I don't think it's a big deal. I just think let the guy play a game, a little 10-minute cameo at the end, whatever, no big deal. That's what I feel about it.
Do you know what? I have my little say on it. I agree with Marlon there, yeah? And I think the media and certain pundits have blown this way out of proportion. It's a simple reason of they want their name to be out there and they want their paper to be sold. Yeah, you're speaking about Wayne Rooney. Yeah? You're speaking about a guy in English FA history for their club. He's played 119 caps. Yeah, England's most all-time goal scorer. He's still playing football. He deserves a send-off. I mean, to be honest, it's actually come out for the wrong reasons because of, and I'm holding my hands up here, but charity here. But whether that's for charity or not, the geezer deserves a send-off. In the English FA's books, the geezer's a legend.
No, definitely. I think the problem with Rooney is as well is he's almost a public enemy number one. Like he's had a lot of bad press, like getting done drink driving, the granny incidents and whatnot, and getting photographed smoking and going out on the piss with his mates on status and stuff like that. But I think, I agree with both you two. I don't really see a great deal in it. I think a lot of it is the fact that the media necessarily don't like him and they're trying to create a talking point from it. The fact that we're even talking about it now, shows that, we are possibly getting sucked into it a lot more. I think what is forgotten that he's England's all-time record goal scorer, like you said, Hakan. He's probably England's most natural player since Paul Gascoigne. I think, and these are the things that this guy should be remembered for, not the fact that we're trying to paint something that's not necessarily needed to be done. And I think too much has been made out of it, to be honest. And, if push came to shove and we needed someone like that again. Would he come out of retirement and could he still do a job? Probably not on a long-term basis, but if an injury crisis came in going into a major tournament and you needed someone to get you something out of a game, I'd like to think that, given the call, Rooney might accept it, but I think that ship has also sailed. Hass, what do you think on this subject before we move on?
Kind of like got mixed views on it, really. You know, I think we can respect. A past player in Wayne Rooney by introducing him onto the pitch or walking the teams out in an England suit, picking up some form of trophy or some form of honour for achieving what he's achieved. But at the same time, it's a friendly. Why can he not play in a friendly?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So, like...
as long as he doesn't take Harry Kane's position, yeah?
I might, you want my honest opinion, Matt? And this is when I'm horrible about this. I'd be happy for him to take Harry Kane's position in the England team. That way Harry Kane might get actually a bit of rest and actually might be able to fucking wake up and play for us. Or not look so tireless when he plays for us, should I say. But that's another thing. Club v country is another question, you know. But yeah, you know, he deserves it, mate. He deserves it, you know. And good luck to him, mate. You know.
Cool. So I think we're all in agreement. It's a mountain out of a molehill from the press rather than the actual issue itself. So moving on. Your long anticipated stadium. There's been images and videos on social media and doing the rounds this weekend in particular. What are your thoughts on it?
Have you seen the heated seats? The USB ports you can charge phone up. Have you seen this sort of shit?
Next level.
No. The only thing I've seen at White Hart Lane that sticks out in my mind
you
is
only see what you want.
League there.
You only see what you want, man. Do you know what I mean? Only see what you want. Look, mate, that Spurs stadium is going to be something special.
It does look good. It does look good.
It's going to be something special once it's done. I mean, we just popped a notice out today to say that we've got a contingency plan to play at Wembley for the remainder of the season if the stadium doesn't get fixed. If the stadium's not ready at some point, so they're not putting the time on it now. Some things like I don't know. It's really weird, man. I want us to move into that stadium, but I don't know how Daniel Levy thinks he's going to build something like that as quick as he thinks he's going to build it, and then not have any problems going along the way in building that. But yeah, the stadium's looking a bit nice in it. Come on, let's be honest about it. It's fucking looking nice. And as soon as we get in there, the better.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting times for Spurs.
Just need a cup to go with it.
I had this conversation with you earlier, Hass, but what Daniel Levy should have done was just said, "Right, we're playing at Wembley for 2 seasons. Let the stadium actually get built in the new year. If we're in any cups, play the cup games at our new stadium, and then start playing Premier League games next season. At least all the tests, like what you have to do, get done, and do you know what I mean? A few trial runs which they can iron out before we go full whack next season. That's what we should have done. It makes sense because realistically, we're not going to build a stadium in a season. But it looks really special. Looking forward to visiting it.
I mean, Coys.
Looking forward to seeing Harry Kane score a hat-trick against Arsenal in it. Come on, you Spurs.
Mal, did you see it at all?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've not seen too much of it, but obviously what I have seen of it, it looks pretty impressive. And that's pretty much... Sorry?
Some links.
Yeah, I think you might have to, because that's all I've seen. There's a few nice pictures of it. It looks all right.
No, it does... all jokes aside, it does look like they've done a good job of it. And I think it's better that you've, in a weird way, as much as it's annoying for you guys, like doing the move the way you do it and you're not going back there till it's all finished is probably the best thing to do. I mean, you've only got to look at what West Ham did when they moved to the Olympic Stadium, the fact that they're having to put in temporary seats every week, things aren't finished and fans are sitting miles away from the pitch and stuff like that. Just,
still do, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's all going to be like, once it's done, it'll be a job worthwhile. And, the thing that stands out to me are the single tier behind the goals that I think look fantastic. I think they're excellent, to be fair. So
They do look naughty, though.
yeah, they do
The
look
sky
good.
bar
Yeah,
as well. You know, the cock's now been placed on top.
there's loads of cocks that'll be going there every week, don't you?
Yeah, especially when we're playing Arsenal at home.
Yeah.
There's rumours having it that our naming rights to the stadium is going to be sold for 200 million.
Yeah, I read that as well. And I think, I know you touched on it earlier, Hack, like you should have said, we're going for 2 years to Wembley and stuff like that. But I think Levy needed that, had to do that to generate the income from the season ticket sales and stuff like that. So that's probably why.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's business structured, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, once that stadium's passed as a qualified stadium, then I think obviously there'll be a lot more revenues to be able to come through onto that, to be able to draw a bit of money back as well from that, But yeah.
Cool. So, moving on. We got anything left to add on the toilet seat that the new White Hart Lane that looks like, or can we move on? Move on. So,
suck your mother.
Just now, one more thing. Thing. It's a bigger stadium than Arsenal's. That's it.
Well done. You can have your first trophy for that. How about that? So, moving on. So, topic of the week this week. So, topic of the week this week, we got Sports and Banter All-Time Premier League 11. What's going to happen is I'm going to give you guys a minute shortly to put your teams together. But what we're going to do is we're going to go 4-4-2. We're going to go through them. We're going to throw a name it, and then we've got to agree. And then once all the positions are done, we're going to play 4-4-2, and we're going to agree on the Sports and Banter All-Time Premier League 11. So, Hassan, if you want to hit play, we're going to have a minute to put our final teams together. We'll reconvene in 60 seconds' time. Let's go.
Yes.
So, hope you enjoyed that little jingle. Shout out to Alex for putting that together for us. So, how the format's going to be? We're going to go 4-4-2, and we're all going to put. I'm guessing we're going to have some of the same names, and then we'll agree on an all-time Premier League 11. So, I'll kick it off on each position. So goalkeepers are going through this. Really, I could only think of possibly 5 that could be considered for the all-time best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and those guys were Peter Schmeichel, David Seaman, Petr Cech, Neville Southall, rolling back the years, and David De Gea. And from that 5, I went for Peter Schmeichel. Marlon, who did you go for?
Same, Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah.
I'm Peter Schmeichel as well.
To be fair, I don't think anyone can contest that with Peter Schmeichel. There's been them other good goalkeepers, but he is an all-time great goalkeeper.
Well, that's a unanimous decision. So, I'm sure that's probably one of his greatest honours of his career. Peter Schmeichel will be in goal for the old Sports and Banter all-time 11.
He'll be able to sleep better tonight.
Yeah. Moving on to right back. I narrowed this down to 4, and they were Gary Neville, Lee Dixon, Ivanovic, and Kyle Walker. And I went for Gary Neville.
I went for Kyle Walker.
I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
We were in this chat earlier on. Like, when I select, well, look, so all the players that I select or mention are based on trying to play in a modern day game now as well. Obviously, bearing in mind what they do. For me, Kyle Walker as well.
Okay. Hack.
I'll have to go with you on this, mate. It's Gary Neville, mate. I think consistently, Kyle Walker, as a Spurs fan, obviously I see a lot of him up close, and I think he's prone to an accident or two. Gary Neville's consistent.
Yeah, I think with G-Nev, you you can't look. As much as Marl probably hates him for the way he celebrated at Anfield that year and been a mank as well. You can't knock the guy. Like, he levels of consistency, trophies that he won along the way. I think on this one, I'm probably going to have to say, due to titles, as it's a tie between the two, that could be the settling factor on it. And the fact that, Neville's, what has he got, 12 Premier League winners' medals, Champions Leagues, just outweighs Kyle Walker. So I'm going to have to say G-Nev's going in, unfortunately, guys.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Fair enough.
Right, so how do you want to do it? Do you want to go to the left back, or do you want to do the 2 centre-backs first?
I think we should do the 2 centre-backs.
Right, okay. What we'll do is we'll give one each. Okay, so I'll do one, you guys do one, and it'll come back round. Okay? So, thinking about the centre-backs, guys that I penciled initially down were Tony Adams, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, most successful ex-Tottenham captain in the Premier League, Sol Campbell, Ledley King, and Vincent Kompany. And look, I'm just going to put it out there. For this one, I had to go with Tony Adams. The reason why I say this is when you watch all-time Premier League 11s, like the one they did on Match of the Day recently, you've got the likes of Shearer saying he was the toughest centre-back he's ever played against. I think the guy, in terms of a leader and what is a defender, as much as he was called a bit of a donkey and stuff like that, when it comes to just defenders, I think he's certainly up there with the best, if not the best. So my first name down as centre-back is going to be Tony Adams.
Well, mine's probably very controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think I was talking about it last night, and I went for John Terry.
Yeah.
I just think it's close between him and it's close between him and Tony Adams.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, John Terry just epitomises a defender.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that blessed technically, but at the same time, he hasn't got that much pace because he's a defender. He's always in the right place at the right time, so he doesn't need any of all that because he's, that good. So for me, I had to go for John Terry.
I think as well with Terry, like, because of everyone knows what he is and stuff like that, do you sometimes think like people pay too much of attention to how much of a dick? Yeah, and he doesn't sometimes get the credit and accountability deserves. So 1 vote for Adams, 1 vote for Terry.
I'm gonna have to go Vidic, mate.
Yeah.
Geezer was a wall. Solid, mate. Solid in the challenge game. 120 every week. Yeah, quality. My top centre-back.
Haas.
See, for me, I think you've got obviously different types of centre-backs here. So in my whole process of thinking about this, I wanted your no-nonsense centre-back alongside a ball-playing centre-back. So for my no-nonsense centre-back, it was really funny because, again, I was having a chat with Marlon last night, and he said to me, Terry, and Terry kind of like stuck in my head a bit. And when I was having a chat today, Tony Adams' name's come up to me, come across, and I was like, actually, do you know what? For me, it was between Tony Adams and John Terry in that position, and I think, believe it, Adams.
Sorry, again, mate. You drifted out then.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to go with Tony Adams.
You surprised me there, to be honest.
Or Gary Mabbott. No, I'm only joking.
Okay, I'd be very surprised if we didn't all agree on this one then, considering who we've talked about so far. Best ball playing and centre back, I think I'll probably say he's up there with the best I've ever seen, if I'm being honest. For Rio,
Rio,
yeah,
standard.
Rolls Royce Rio.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I thought you were going to say Ledley King for a minute.
Don't get me wrong, he was pretty much there for me, but at the
Yeah.
same time, due to the fact that
I've got Ferdinand down as well, man.
yeah.
So we're all unanimous on Rio. Okay.
Before we go to the left back,
Yeah.
I want to say something. I think the three easiest positions to select, or not the three easiest, but the most easiest positions to select were right back, left back, and
Goalkeeper.
sorry,
That's you.
and goalkeeper.
Yeah. I could only think of three possible ones, and one is back from many years ago. Well, two are really. One. So I've gone with Dennis Irwin, Stuart Pearce, and Ashley Cole, and I picked Ashley Cole.
Do you know that's so random because I said to you last night, didn't I, Hassan, Dennis Owen?
Yeah.
And mate, he could play right back, he could play left back, took free kicks, took penalties, Mr. Consistent for Man United. Yeah. But I think, you can probably all guess my feelings towards Cashley, but I have to go with him.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, obviously, I had another thought about it, and I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna have to say I agree. I'm gonna go Ashley Cole. When I realistically sit there and think really, really hard about left backs and the position. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised you haven't mentioned Eric Edmond or Lee Pong Yol.
On a real talk, Graham Lassalle weren't bad.
Yeah, he weren't too far off, to be honest. I was thinking that, but I think
Cashley is for me.
Those three were the standout ones for me.
Yeah, Ashley Cole for me. He had the fittest misses. You know what I mean? But no, he was decent at Arsenal, decent at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? And, yeah, definitely for me, Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole, yeah.
Okay, so just to sum it up so far, Schmeichel in goal, G. Nev at right back, Tony Adams and Rio at centre half, and Ashley Cole at left back. So we'll kick it off with. Do you want to go? What do you want to do? Centre mids or right mid first?
Do two centre mids at the same time.
Okay, two centre mids at the same time. So I read for. I was writing them down, and I managed to get it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay, which I wrote it down to. So obviously you got the Keenan Vieira, you got Scholes and Gerrard, you got Lampard, you got Xavi Alonso, and David Silva and Yaya Toure. And out of that, I went for Stevie G.
Didn't Luka Modric get in there?
No, I didn't think. The only reason why I didn't put him in, and I'm glad you've asked this question, is that I think he's got so much better since he's gone to Real Madrid. That if he was playing at the standard he is now, when he was at Spurs, then unquestionably in it. And that's how I've tried to base my selections on purely how they were in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
So I went for Gerrard, who I think has got everything you can want in a midfielder. Short pass, long pass, free kicks, Captain Marvel. Pretty much anything. And next one, I've gone for. I had to really boil it down to a possible two. It was either going to be, for me, Roy Keane or Vieira. And the only reason why I've gone for Vieira is because I think he gives you everything Roy Keane did. but he's just a better footballer overall.
That's the good of you, isn't he?
No. But like I said, we're going to go on a majority here. And
Well, so who have you gone with?
Gerrard and Vieira.
Sure, I'll go next.
Okay.
I'll go next. And I don't know what it's been flipping my mind, for the last couple of days, and I've got to put Gerrard in there.
Mm-hmm.
Just especially that every time I think about Gerrard, I think about Istanbul. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or the Olympiacos goal where he runs away and he scored that last minute winner. Sorry.
What about West Ham in the cup final?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm going to have to go for Gerrard, because he's done it in the big games. And like you say, he can do any job you really wanted. We're not doing a tactical quarter, are we?
No, it's literally like who you think's the best.
Well, I'm going to have to also go Scholesy.
Yeah.
Geezer was a magician, mate. He was an absolute magician. If we was doing a holding guy, then I would have mostly gone Vieira. But I'm going to have to go Scholesy, mate.
Yeah.
A magician.
Haas.
Timo
Tonio.
Yeah, nah, mate. Rafael van der Vaart. Nah, do you know what? Like, it's really difficult because it's such a hard position to play with.
This is probably the hardest position, I thought.
Yeah, like Hakan said about Scholesy, yeah, Gerrard, yeah. Then you got to think about Lamps as well to come into that. Then you got your Roy Keanes, your Vieiras, Unfortunately, I agree with Hakan about Roy Keane and Vieira. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to pick entertaining players, then they won't come into that category too tough. It feels a bit harsh for Lamps, really, but I think I'll go with what Hakan said as well.
But don't you think
Gerrard and Paul Scholes?
Don't you think? And this is no criticism to Lampard at all. Yeah, this isn't criticism to Lampard. This is praise on Scholes. But don't you find Lampard's a bit of a poor man's Scholes? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, but I think like his goal scoring record. I mean, what did he get? 100 odd Premier League goals.
He's the highest scoring midfielder, isn't
he? Yeah. But I'm not on about. Don't look at his stats. I mean, just look at him as a player. As a player, if you're a manager and you've got him as a player and you've got them two, you'll look at them and go, right, Lampard, you're just a level behind Scholes.
But now, Hakan, do you know what? I'm sorry, I don't want to take us off this subject here, right? But I have to mention something here. Scholesy Lampard, yeah, I would say possibly is like Aguero. Okay, as we were talking about Aguero and Kane, it's a bit like Aguero and Kane, yeah. I think statistically, in these recent times, Kane trumps Aguero, but a ball playing to watch, people are mostly going to prefer to watch Aguero play than Harry Kane play, and that's what we're going about with Lampard and Scholesy. Do you see what I mean?
I think with this argument as well, like the things that always stand out to me, it's all well and good. As for having this conversation, never kicked a ball professionally in our lives, but then you get the likes of Zizou and people like that praising Scholes, saying like this guy was unbelievable, he was the best player around at one point, and blah blah blah. So
he's a rascal, mate.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what's that? Is that Gerrard and Scholes for you as well, Haas?
No, for me it was Gerrard and Scholes. Yes.
Okay, Gerrard and Scholes. Marlon.
Well, obviously, listening to everybody, I'm just going to be really quick and simple about it. Obviously, there was the Vieiras, Kings, and everything, but for me, Stevie G, and Paul Scholes, and that's how I see it.
So that's Gerrard,
Scholes in the middle,
and Scholes.
Not very defensive, but
Okay, so right midfield. There's only two for me.
Go on.
Beckham and Ronaldo. And as much as I've gone...
It's got to be the easiest answer ever then, if that's what we're selecting.
I think it's Ronaldo for me.
Yeah, it's got to be Ronaldo.
It's got to be Ronaldo. That geezer was putting goals in off his bum in the league, mate. It's got to be Ronaldo.
Yeah, I'm Ronaldo.
Yeah, 4 for Ronaldo. Left wing, left midfield.
Easiest decision in the world for me. I'd like
Yeah,
to start with that, and that's Ryan Giggs. And
yeah.
there's for me, I don't. Yeah, I can't see that anybody else would make that cut.
Mm-hmm.
I think the closest guy who comes to him, playing in that position, is the other Welsh wizard, Gareth Bale for Spurs, mate. That geezer was amazing. But being realistic, mate, and thinking without my Spurs cap on, it's got to be Giggs.
Yeah, I think Giggs done it for. I agree with you. I think Giggs done it for a longer period of time, sustained it for a longer period of time. Won a lot of stuff. Was at Man United from 18 he come through, didn't he? Or something like 16 or 18, and you see it right out. Yeah, it's got.
Yeah. When I was doing these, I thought John Barnes, going back to the old days, like John Barnes, Bale, Hazard, Ginola, Pires, and I went Giggs. So, yeah, all agreed on Giggs then. So, we're going to play 2 up top. Okay.
Difficult.
2 up top. So, going through this when I was trying to narrow it down, you actually think you forget how many. I'm going to go for a list of players now. You think they'd walk into most Premier League teams at the moment. So my list I got it down to were Henry, Van Nistelrooy, Shearer, Aguero, Drogba, Andy Cole, Ian Wright, Robbie Fowler, Cantona, Bergkamp, Zola, and Rooney. And my first one, we all know who my first one's going to be. I think he's possibly, he's certainly, I think, the best foreign player to have played in the Premier League, Thierry Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about all of those strikers, and I was sitting there getting excited as you were saying all the names. Right, Fowler. I mean, he was probably my absolute favourite Fowler. But when it comes to this Premier League and this different kind of player, this something special, something that you didn't really see, something pretty amazing, graceful, skillful, technical,
arrogant,
and probably scored some of the best goals you'll ever see in the Premier League. And I have to say that's Thierry Henry all day long. Definitely for me.
As a Spurs fan, right? Watch Tottenham Arsenal, and obviously when Thierry Henry was on form and he was at Arsenal, we weren't the best team. We weren't that as competitive as we are now. And we'll be like 1-0, and it'll be like the 90th minute. And I'd see him come down the left-hand wing, cut in, and do the trademark.
Yeah, open his body up.
Yeah, trademark, open his body up. And every time, especially with a goalie like Robinson in goal, it went in. And I'll tell you what, the geezer's a legend, mate, for Premier League wise. And I've got to have Henry in there. As painfully as it hurts me to say as a Spurs fan, yeah I have to have Henry in there.
Yeah, I agree with Henry.
Yeah. Okay, so first striker in is Thierry Henry. Okay, I've gone for my next one just purely on the basis of the amount of goals he scored. And I don't think you can really look past that if we're picking a Premier League. You've got to go, in my opinion, you've got to go with the record holder, Shearer.
Yeah.
So I've gone with Shearer as my other striker.
I'm with you on that one as well, mate.
Well, I like Alan Shearer and all that. I didn't probably pick him, and that's just because for me, I don't know, he was just a goal scorer. Don't get me wrong, he scored a variety of goals, good goals, really good goals, tapping. But I think me personally, just through some of the magic, I went for. He didn't score loads and loads of goals, but I went for Bergkamp.
Okay.
You know what? My striker, it's got to be Alan Shearer, mate. To be honest, you can't knock his stats, mate. He's done it. I've actually recently watched the True Geordie podcast with Alan Shearer, And to know that as a 16-year-old boy, who lived in Newcastle, went down to Southampton, and applied his trade there on his own. And to become what he did, that's through hard work. You've not got to give him that. So Alan Shearer for me.
Yeah, I'm Alan Shearer as well. Although I get where Marlon's coming from with Bergkamp, I think Bergkamp was nice. He was so beautiful to watch. He had this amazing partnership with Henry as well. Do you know what I mean? So I get where Marlon's coming from, but I think, Alan Shearer, 260 Premier League goals, by far the highest Premier League goal scorer. The second was Wayne Rooney at 208. You got to have him in there, man.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
No, definitely. I mean, I'm obviously not going to argue with your choice, Mark, of Bergkamp. Possibly, he's one of the most graceful footballers ever to play in the Premier League. He's very much in that Zola, Cantona ilk, where But I think
we've been very kind to you tonight, actually, haven't we?
Say again?
I think our Spurs boys have been quite kind to you, Arsenal boys, tonight, haven't we?
There's nothing that we haven't shown you in recent weeks, mate. When I was praising you up on the first show. So anyway,
all we do is look up, my son. All we do is look up.
Ah, no. Bless you.
Can't see you at the moment, mate.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
mind the gap.
So, anyways, as that was my question for this week, I nominate Hakan to introduce his question for next week.
Well, it's going on a bit towards what the question was this week, to be fair.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to do your good old research, guys, as well, because there's going to be quite a few to research about. But my question is the best Premier League goal scored?
Okay.
It's got to be Pedro Mendes, man.
Club. All in all, Premier League goal. It could have been. The goal could have been not a decisive goal. It could have just been a banger from Letizia.
I was about to say Letizia.
It could be anything from any goal.
What? So it could be anything from the quality of goal to the importance of the goal.
It can go to anything. It's all about the quality of the goal. Individual quality of the goal, not a team performance goal.
Yeah.
An individual quality of a goal.
Cool.
Something which a player's made a goal out of nothing.
Cool.
And it can even happen during the week. This week, if there's any Premier, I don't think there's any Premier League games, or in the last couple of weeks this season, whatever you think.
You think back, and that's a really good question, because the goals that come into my head straight away are Beckham's against Crystal Palace, Shearer's volley against Everton, Henry's one against Spurs,
Bergkamp against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Tony Yeboah's goal against Liverpool.
Tony Yeboah. Do you remember the one he scored the week after against Wimbledon as well?
Yeah.
Who was that player that was playing for Newcastle up front? And he scored that. No, and it was recent. And he scored that banger against Chelsea.
Cisse, wasn't it?
Is it? Yeah,
Papa
Cisse.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
God, there's some
Harry
goals.
Kane against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Cutting in from the corner.
Wayne Rooney when he was talking to the ref and they smashed it into the top corner.
Wayne Rooney's overhead kick against
Gareth Bale at West Ham.
Yeah.
Mate, there's a lot of goals, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Some of Collymores had some bangers as well.
Oh, yeah.
Alan
Shearer's goal. I can't remember who it was against, but it was outside the box. Must be over the top of his shoulder, dropped and smashed from about 35 yards.
I mean, actually, who did David Beckham score that just over the halfway line?
Palace.
Was it Palace?
Yeah.
Mate, not being funny, he had his goal against Palace a couple of seasons ago. A couple of seasons ago.
A little
do you know
loop
what I mean?
over the head.
It could be anything, guys. It could be anything.
Lots to think about this week, boys. Cool, big debate.
Do your studying.
Cool.
Then what we'll do after, guys, we'll after we've named them, we'll put the links to the goals in our description, so you can have a little look at them and see what your opinion is, and just if you got anything to say, just write it in the inbox down below.
Cool. So that kind of wraps up this week's football Sports and Banter. Don't forget to tune in a short while where we'll be going live again to discuss all things boxing, topics that will be coming up, and that will be obviously Tony Bellew, the end of I think he definitely got to be classed as one of Britain's boxing greats. The up and coming potential fight between Anthony Crono and Lomachenko. What's going on with Kell Brook at the moment, and just anything else sort of boxing related. So don't forget to tune in if that's your thing. Lads, have you got anything else to add before we sign off?
Yeah, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Sports and Banter Vlogcast page. That's what our page is called. And also, we are on Twitter, S&B Hangouts. So yeah, follow us, like, subscribe, press the notification button on our YouTube page, and surprise us with some feedback, guys. Really want your feedback on how you feel we could possibly improve the show, things that we could possibly add to the show. Definitely interested in it, and I think as time goes on and once we get a little bit more comfortable, possibly get one or two of you guys on here to get one or two of you on here to join us for the evening even. So yeah, definitely great. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So yeah, on that note, and lastly,
peace out. Good night,
Stephen. If you do want to come back and join us at any point, it's been 3 or 4 podcasts now since you last made an appearance. Please feel free to come back.
I think he's at Chronics tonight, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, peace out, lads.
All right, take care.
Take care.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.